I puff painted every single Z pattern on my Spiderman Across the Spiderverse suit. And here's how it went. Before we get into this, I do have to tell you a noteworthy precaution if you want to attempt. If your finger isn't prepared to look like SpongeBob's finger or thumb after the splinter, then this task might not be for you. But before you give up, I do have a tip that I could give you that would help a lot. So by the type of bottle I'm using, I use a different type of nozzle, which I put on the screen. I got it from a store called Michael's. You can probably get it online on Amazon. And that bottle requires a lot of stress on your fingers because you're squeezing it really hard for it to come out of a thin nozzle. If you use the real bottle, the puff paint bottle, let me just show you. I don't even want to describe it. It's bad. But if that happens and you do choose to use the bottle I'm using, it will start to hurt your fingers bad after. So I came up with a solution that you heat up the bottle. And when you heat up the bottle, using that heat from the heat gun bottle, you can actually make it easier to squeeze. And don't heat it up too much, because if you do, then it'll start to squeeze out on its own, and that just makes a big problem. You don't want that to happen. The heat gun will also serve two purposes. One, it'll make the bottle easier to squeeze, and two, it'll dry the paint faster. But do be very careful. Obviously, one, because it's a heat gun, don't burn yourself, and two, because if you put it on for too long, the paint will start to bubble. You don't want that to happen, look ugly. So if you can't use a heat gun or you're not safe with it, just use a blow dryer. Blow dryer will work pretty well too. Another tip I could give you to do this is to have something the suit can be on. Like if you can put the suit on a roll of foam or a mannequin, that can help a lot, because that will just give it even spacing and it won't wrinkle up, just make the paint touch each other and it won't be a mess. So that's the best info I can give you if you want to do this easier. Also, other than this first frame I'm showing you right now, I always start from left to right so my right hand can relax. So if you're right-handed, I would start going from left to right so you have a space for your right hand to relax without touching paint. This is an exception in this video currently because I already finished the other side, but now I'm starting on this side since it's dried on the right side. Now on to how this whole process actually felt. In total, the back took me about a day to complete, and this is how it looks like. After completing the back, I moved on to the front, but first I gotta move through the shoulder area, and then I'll go down eventually. Now here's how it looked like when I attempted to use the puff paint nozzle. I swear, after I saw that, I was gonna dropkick the bottle and then spit on it. That was terrible. Like, that was actually disgusting. It looks so terrible. I'm just so glad it wasn't in a vital spot. I'm now working on the front of the suit. This is where you have to get serious. I got real serious here. I made sure not to make a single mistake. That's why I did the back first, just so I got used to it in practice so I can hone my avatar state. I had to lock in on this. Also, might I add that this is a custom costume by the place called Print Costumes. That's where I get my suits now. It's really, really worth it. Basically, I got a forearm zip and a U-zip. The U-zip is just easier to, zip up on your own. And forearm zips are easy when you gotta eat or use your phone for a while. It's just a matter of convenience. The only thing with the forearm zip is that you have to be careful not to break it, and also it's also kind of hard to zip up. That's the only thing, but it's still definitely worth it. If you ever wanted to see a close-up, this is how it looks. Also, while we're here, let me just add on to the fact that you have to be really careful with your puff paint bottle, as I'll put up a picture here. Is what accidentally happened when I squeezed the bottle while I think the tip dried. So yeah, pretty bad. But the solution was to immediately get into the washer, scrape all the excess paint off, and make sure you really soak in the washing machine soap. And that's the best way to get it off. Also, make sure to not squeeze the puff paint bottle while its head's being left out. Make sure you always put the lid back on when you're not using it. And if anything, get a pin and poke a hole through. Looking at the picture again, it actually kind of looked like Venom. It was just kind of funny. Now moving on to the arms. I didn't use a mannequin because I didn't have a mannequin with arms. I just put it on the table, and this is where a roll of foam would come useful. If you have a roll of foam, you can just put it on the table and then pin the arm to the roll of foam, so there won't be any stresses or stretches. I used a weight on the hand and that helped a little bit, but I definitely needed the roll of foam after. Also, what should be noted is the change in hue that you notice. Like, you see the ominous black just like kind of breach over when you're painting over with puff paint. You see the purple hue kind of disappear. Now, doing the whole front of the torso and all the way down to the legs was a very strenuous task. As you can see, it's like the biggest part to do, but just make sure you get into a rhythm. Once you get into a rhythm, you'll be good. You'll actually start blazing through it. Now, for the places that don't have the Z patterns, I'm gonna call it armor. For the armor areas, should I go over it with a leather later? That might be a bit cool, like a really thin, like, you know, mock leather, put it over there. I think that'd be pretty cool because the color is still a bit bright, and it's not this color if you see it in like Spider-Man 2 and Fortnite, for example, too. The skin, it doesn't have this purple hue to it. It's kind of like protrudes a little bit with like a leathery look. So I might go over it with a leather. After finishing the whole front of the body, I'm finally now moving on to the back. I just have to start from waist down at the back and all the way near the legs. I'm not gonna end at the feet because I'm gonna be wearing shoes and stuff, so I stop about 6 centimeters above the red spot.
All right, this is big. Last 2 Z's that I'm assuming I'm gonna have to do. This is literally gonna be my last 2 Z's. This is big. All right, let me get a really good camera angle for this. I'm gonna increase the height. I'm gonna get a top-down view a little bit. All right, last 2. All right, we're gonna make the last one as good looking as I can, and then we're gonna celebrate. That one's really good. All right, let me really focus for this one, for the final Z or S, whatever you want. Come on. Woo! Let's go. Finally, holy. Let's go. It's done. Or at least what I assume is done. You're gonna have to let it dry, but you can use the heat gun or blow dryer. The blow dryer doesn't make it bubble up, so you can just go over it with that. You know, show it. Or you can just let it air dry. I can let it air dry because I'm done. Let's go. Long process, let's go.
So after approximately 4 days, I've completed it. And here's the transition between before and after. Now here's me wearing the suit before the puff paint. And as you can clearly tell, the mask does not match the suit, as the purple hue removes the darkness of the suit. And here's it on. This isn't even the best part, just wait till we get to the images. Here's pictures of me jumping in midair and taking some flicks. If I haven't convinced you enough yet of why you should do this, this should be the reason why. The way it reflects off light just adds another layer of depth to your pictures. All you have to do is just lower the exposure, and trust me, they look like movie cinema. It looks amazing. So definitely look forward to doing this when you finish your suit.